So I wanted to do one on the Woodland Avenue line in Duluth. Of the Duluth lines, this was one of the more interesting ones. It is a long line, it's about 7, 8 miles long from downtown, but its distinction is that it has the largest elevation rise of any streetcar line in Minnesota. It rises 700 feet from Superior Street up to Woodland. It's pretty much upgrade the whole way, and it has a long history. And so you start down on Superior Street. Now, of course, all the lines were funneled through Superior Street, and this is a Superior Street at about 4th or 5th Avenue West. And 4th or 5th Avenue West was kind of the center of hotels and theaters. And it was the reason for the hotels was it was within about a block of all the railroad stations. And so I've got the track map here, and the line changed over time, its alignment. Now, this is the original alignment as was built in 1891. And when it was built, Woodland was a separate real estate development up at the end. And in Duluth, there were 3 different real estate developments that were essentially suburban. At the time, they were not part of the city, although by the end of the 1890s, they were annexed into the city. But in every case, they were far enough out that somebody had to build a streetcar line to them. And so what they did in every case is they had the Duluth Street Railway build the streetcar line. The real estate development equipped it, and the Duluth Street Railway ran it for it. And the idea was that the real estate development would pay whatever was not covered by fares. And in every single case, the real estate development didn't prosper as much as it should, and the developer was unable to make up on the payments, but the city of Duluth annexed the development, and Duluth Street Railway simply took it over and ate the expense. And so this initially, what you don't see here is Woodland Avenue. This is actually Woodland Avenue going all the way up. And they started it with little single truck cars hauling trailers, and they couldn't make the hill. They got on this section of Woodland and they simply couldn't do it. And so about 2 months later, and so this is an example of the early line. I think this might actually be on Woodland Avenue. I haven't been quite clear as to where it is. Well, and so they, remember we had Woodland Avenue here. What they did is they went a little farther on East 4th Street to Wallace Avenue, which had this kind of curving but lower grade, more gradual grade to get up to Woodland Avenue. And then that became the permanent alignment of it. But what it did is it went out of downtown. Now, 3rd Avenue West in Superior was the operational heart of the Duluth Street Railway. That's where the inspector had his shack, and it was kind of the central point. And they climbed the big 8.7% grade up to 2nd Street. That's 2 blocks, ran along 2nd Street, and then had another pretty good grade up to 4th Street. And then 4th Street all the way out. Now, there was a separate 4th Street line that initially ended, well, okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. The 4th Street line came in later, but even though you see 2 lines, Superior Street and Woodland, 4th Street wound up running as its own separate line. So anyway, here's 3rd and Superior Street, and this is the 8.5% grade going up. And this is a hand-braked car. It wasn't until after the big Twin City Standard cars came in that you actually had air brakes. So that's kind of a scary deal. I've run a handbrake car, and their braking power is not that great.
Don't walk behind them.
Pardon me?
Don't walk behind them.
Don't walk behind them, right. Here's the same location. This is actually in 1914, but you're looking down. There's the inspector's shanty, and you're looking down the hill. Okay, so they ran via 4th Street until 1907. In 1907, they built this connector on 24th Avenue East from Superior Street up to 4th Street, and they ran the line out Superior up here, and then that's when they created this separate 4th Street line. And so here we are on Superior Street. Got one of these little bobby signals with the rubber base so it can be hit by a car and it pop up again. And this is I don't know why it keeps doing that. This is about 2nd Avenue East on Superior. This is Superior and Lake Avenue. And Lake Avenue goes off to the, that's the one that goes down to Canal Park, to the lift bridge, and then had the connection to Park Point. And this is at about 9th Avenue East or so, going by the Kitchigami Club, which was a big private club. And at this point, you're right along the lake. And I think this is London Road taking off here at an angle. This is about 14th. They were building a loop to go down to the curling center and the civic center, and that was used then to turn around cars that were headed west. Now this is the intersection, the Y, at 24th Avenue East, and you're looking right out over the lake. It was kind of on high ground over the lake. So the line to Leicester Park went straight to the left, and then the new connection for the Woodland Avenue went up 24th. And here you are looking at it, and you can see it climbing the hill block by block up to 4th Street. And then it turned right up 4th Street and it climbed some more. And what you see up here, they created a Y for the, rather a loop for the 4th Street line at 27th. So we're at like about 25th. The thing came up to 4th Street on 24th. And then, so it ran together with the 4th Street cars for a couple, 3 blocks. Now, I think this is an interesting photo because this is 4th Street just before they created that turnaround loop at 47th. I'm sorry, yeah, at 27th. And so it's all curb and gutter. But beyond this, you can see what they had to do to establish the curb and gutter. You got all these rock outcroppings, and the rock outcroppings just start right here. But clearly somebody had gone to the trouble of trimming them back there. So this is going up, I got this out of sequence. This is on Woodland Avenue, and this is early with the center poles. And this is Wallace Avenue. This is what they turned off of 4th Street to go on to have the lesser grade to get up to Woodland. And this thing kind of curved around sort of on the edge of a big valley. And so then you went up into Woodland Avenue, and first you went through the development of Hunters Park. And it was Hunters Park, and then beyond that was the development of Woodland. And here you can see they're out. And it's really kind of a curving, beautiful thing, and it just keeps climbing. More also in the Hunters Park area. Now this station, I'm forgetting what the Glen Avon station. There was a little waiting shelter up at the far end. This is in the Hunters Park neighborhood. It's a pretty elaborate thing, and amazingly, it's still there. I think it's a house now.
The building next to it looks like it's on stilts. Wonder why they did that. Looks like
Interesting question.
It's a church. It looks like.
Yeah, I guess it would be a church. Okay, well, I guess so. The church basement could have windows or something. But good point. And this is the humorous postcard. To this day, bears periodically wander down into Hunters Park and Woodland. And so here you see fictionalized bears interrupting the streetcar. One of them is on the fender. This old postcard. And so here we are up at the Woodland Loop. And it's the entrance to the loop and a little shopping district right here. You see the little shopping things, and the loop comes around. There's one of the cars on the loop. Here's the waiting shelter. And starting in the 1920s, there was a shuttle bus that went to Calvary Cemetery a couple miles away and met the Woodland cars here. By the way, this is one of the experimental sliding motorman doors that they and Twin City Lines did. They didn't keep them that way, but they tried them. So then in 1934, what they did is converted the Superior Street line to trolleybus. And so because that was converted to trolleybus, they had to go and reroute the Woodland Line back to its original alignment, 3rd Avenue West, 2nd Street, East 4th Street out. Now, I guess I got a couple pictures showing that. Oh, come here. Okay, here you are up on 2nd Street and passing the Duluth Central High School building, which is still there. It's being reused finally for something else. Apparently, a developer has taken it on. It was vacant for many years. And here, they're sharing track with both the East 4th Street cars, the Kenwood cars, and the East 8th Street cars, which is probably why you have all these streetcars running together. You got multiple lines. And then they climbed up then to East 4th Street. That previous shot was on East 2nd Street. And so this is climbing up, and you can actually see the slope coming up. And then all those lines, East 4th Street, Woodland, Kenwood, and East 8th, all went where you see the streetcars. The tracks in this direction are the West 4th Street line, which was, well, it was really not much of a line. It was shaped kind of like a hairpin, kind of like a safety pin. What it basically did is it wound up 4 blocks above where it started. But because the hill was so steep, walking was an issue. And in later years, it was simply a shuttle from this intersection back to Masava Street, which was a mile behind us. And it had a single truck car running there until the 1920s. This is a view of the same intersection looking in the other direction. Here's the track going down the hill. Here's the West 4th Street shuttle, and then East 4th Street. And I got a couple of views out on East 4th Street. I don't actually know where along there it is, but this was pretty well developed area. Okay, so the problem with rerouting it via 3rd Avenue West was that it missed much of the downtown area along Superior Street, the retail center of the city. And the merchants complained and the pastors complained. So in 1936, they went and built a 2-block connection on 2nd Avenue East. And this was the steepest streetcar grade in Minnesota, 10.5%. And here it is. You're looking down it, and you're looking up it. And here's a car coming off of it. And even though the tracks are still in here on Superior Street, they're not being used. But you can see that what you have here are you have the trolleybus overhead, and then streetcar overhead. So you have a 3rd wire here for the streetcar in both directions. This is the timetable for it. Basically, it ran every 20 minutes. And in the 1920s, and I think not later than the 1920s, they actually ran expresses on both this and the one out to Lester Park and Lakeside, where they had, about every half hour, they would have a car out to Woodland that didn't make any stops until it got out to the Woodland Avenue. Made no local stops. I like this. This is just up at Woodland Park, it says, in 1915, and it's just kind of a fun view. It's one of these motorman views, but you got people hanging around. And then, of course, the line was converted after they abandoned the streetcar in 1939. It was converted to trolleybus. And so they put it back on Superior Street. And this is the corner of 24th. And so actually here you have a non-trolley bus, a gas bus, and a trolley bus turning off of Superior Street onto 24th to make the climb up to 4th, and then they went all the way up to Woodland. This is up on Woodland Avenue. And that is the end of it. Just a really interesting line.